Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. So today we get to take a look at the 2023 Chevrolet Corvette C8 Convertible. This is the 70th edition trim level. Huge shout out to 704 Exotics for providing this basically supercar for me today. They're always getting in some awesome pre-owned inventory. That link is down in the description. So this 70th anniversary only comes in two colors. The color behind me is Carbon Flash Metallic. They have a starting MSRP right around $84,000. And powering the C8 Convertible, you will not be able to see most of the engine bay. You do get a little bit of sneak peek through these heat extraction vents, but underneath there is a 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8 that's paired to the 8-speed dual clutch transmission. This pumps out 490 horsepower, 465 pound-feet of torque. That power sent to the rear wheels, propelling this 3,400 pound convertible from 0 to 60 in just under 3 seconds. Top speed is 194. This has a fuel capacity of 18.5 gallons, so you'll expect to see around 16 miles per gallon in the city, 24 out on the highway. This also has a wheelbase of 107.1 inches. Its overall length is 182.3. It has a width of 76.1, a height of 48.6, and its ground clearance measures in at 5.1 inches. As we move on to the exterior styling now, like I mentioned, having the 70th anniversary package, what that entails is the wheels, red calipers, which you'll see. We have the seats, seat belts, there's even storage protectors, travel bags, and all of the badges. So we have a lot to cover. Starting up front, one of those badges is front and center with 70th anniversary on that one side. Plenty of inlets to provide a lot of cooling. Even though the engine is in the back, we have some components up front that can get maximum cooling with all of the exposed areas. There's also a camera on both sides up front, so you get that added forward-facing visibility. LED headlights, DRLs, and turn signals, of course, and some nice lines that come down the hood. It gives it that classic Corvette design from the front at least, so it looks like older generations with a little bit of some subtle differences. And then up front, since this is a mid-engine, there's a storage bin, or your frunk, as a lot of people would call it. You have a button on the key fob, or the hidden button up underneath the driver's side headlight. So from there, we can open this up. Well, there's actually a decent amount of space. So I have one camera bag in there at the moment, and it's a little bit bigger than my R8. A little bit narrower, but definitely a little bit deeper. So you have practicality to place in some items up front. But as we move our way to the side, this has a staggered setup for the wheels. Up front, these measure 19 inches. They're 8.5 wide. The red trim is a part of that package. Massive Z51 on those red brake calipers with the dark finish. In back, it has a set of 20 by 11 inch wheels. And then for the side, really nice design with the 70th edition badge. Power folding side mirrors with the turn signal, of course, and then there's a huge inlet for airflow to travel down the side of the vehicle to help cool the radiators and some of other components for that engine bay. It has a really nice design to it from the side too, and this is a hardtop convertible, so with the top up, it is really hard to tell that it's not a convertible. It looks like a coupe with the top up, which I think is really cool, and then with it down, of course, you get that open top experience. Now you can also buy the coupe. It has the target top, so it's manual, and then you can fold that and tuck it away in the back. We have some really nice lines that run down the side too. You do have some other options that you can go with as far as some of the trim accents, but we pretty much have black on black for all of the accents for this model, including the trunk mounted spoiler. Corvette is right in the middle. LED taillights with that sequential design to them. There's parking sensors, backup camera, a lot of mesh in that lower diffuser for heat extraction, and then it also has the quad tip dual exhaust, which you can start up. So let's lock the vehicle, bring this to life. And then if you double tap on that button or hold it, you can shut it off as needed. We have lock and unlock. You can also gain access to the front storage as well as the rear storage. But in back, you have another hidden button. It's just underneath the middle E, and from there, not as much space as in the normal coupe. In the coupe, you can fit 2 golf bags in the back. You might be able to fit one back here. It's not quite as deep, but with the 70th anniversary, you also get these luggage bags. So these are embroidered with that logo, and you can pack whatever items you want here and at least fit those items in. And this even has the soft close. So if you don't close it all the way, it will lock. Would be really cool to see that up front. And in back, we also have the cool design behind both headrests. coming down each side. This is a really exotic looking Corvette model. When you see these out on the road, depending on the color or the angle, sometimes it can look like a McLaren, sometimes it can look like a Ferrari. So for that under 6-figure price tag, you're basically getting a supercar in a Corvette shell. Now as we move on to the interior, we have beautiful alcantara and stitching covering the entire door. There's white leather, brushed aluminum, memory seating adjustments, all of the window controls. This is how you operate both the top and the rear window, which is this small one right here. It's currently down at the moment with the top, but you can put that back up. You can even lower it with the top up, which you'll see later. There's the trunk release. There's even how you can open up the front and the rear storage, a little bit of storage underneath that too. And this is the electronic button to release the door. If the battery dies or fails for whatever reason, your manual release is down below, so you can always get out. And then check out the two-tone for these seats. Carbon fiber, we have all of the leather, heated and ventilated seats, red seat belts. It's a very nice design for this. Now the steering wheel is finished off in alcantara, more of the red stitching. We have volume controls along with favorites. There's even a Z button for the Z51 with all the drive modes. Cruise control on that one side, heated steering wheel, Bluetooth voice commands, and some other controls for the gauge cluster. Let's fire this back up though. And looking at the digital gauge cluster, TAC is front and center along with miles per hour, what gear you're in. On the right side, there's some info you can cycle through. Fuel level and engine temperature are in the lower section. And then there's also some other vitals located on the far left. Now, if I use these buttons on the right side of the steering wheel, I can scroll through some more of this info over on that right side. So there's the trip computer where you can go through all of these standard vitals. You can scroll over now and go into performance. So you have 0 to 60, a lap timer, even pull up the G-force meter, look at your audio, any maintenance that you need to go through. So you can scroll through all of this and make sure you are up to date. There's also different options that you can go into, and the last one is simplify. So simplify basically hides away the info on that left side, and then when you bring that back, you can also go into the display design where you have a few different modes. So if I go into that, we can go into sport, where it will change slightly. You will see some more fun vitals on that left side. Track is a pretty cool setting as well. Now the TAC is in the entire upper section with basically all the info that you need to see while you are driving. And then you can also go through some other information in the options. Head-up display, you have some other things to go into, TPMS and everything like that. So it's really easy to go through that amount of information. And then over on the left side, if I push on the Z button, that will pull up with the different driving modes. So this is how it's currently set up in Z mode. And if I push on it again, now we can go into touring mode. So you can edit that, you can set everything up the way that you would like to. So with the push of a button, you are ready to go. Now this also has giant paddle shifters too, very responsive with that ZF transmission. Over on the left side, there's the head-up display information along with the brightness for the gauges, and then the e-brake is underneath that. So for the head-up display, it might be a little bit hard to see, but currently it's showing miles per hour along with what gear the vehicle is in and then the speed limit sign. You can also pull up the TAC with your G-force meter and what gear you're in, and then just what gear you're in and the miles per hour. So my favorite one is the one, hopefully you can see that. It's a little bit crammed in here to be able to view that. Check that out with what gear the vehicle is in with the G meter there. Very neat to be able to have that for this driving. Now, Alcantara covers the entire dash. Very awesome to see that. And then with the infotainment system, it is angled towards the driver. We have volume and a home button. And then this is pretty much like every other GM product. We have the home screen with the split design and then various icons to go into. We even have the PDR, which is the video recorder that you can have set up and ready to go. You do have to have an SD card in, of course, in order to record all of that. And then you have shortcuts down below, climate adjustments, navigation as well, music and phone, and then you can get back to the home screen. Very simple and straightforward. Underneath that, this model has traction control along with the front lift, and then you can also pull up the forward-facing camera. So that way you can monitor where you are and what's in front of you from the front. You have a down angle, that triple design there. and then back to the full screen. So that's very cool. And the front end lift is definitely very beneficial. Now, right on the back side of this pad here, you have mode. This is for the different driving modes. So you can go into my mode. You can also twist on it one more time for weather. You can go back into my mode. Then you have touring, sport. You can go into track. So you have a shortcut for that. Now on the left side, this is how you put the vehicle into the various gears. So you push for park, you pull on this up for reverse, where you have the same backup camera angles as you saw for the front, which is very helpful. Neutral is the button behind that, drive is just behind that, and then if you push on this last button, that is the manual setting for the paddle shifters. And then you'll notice this entire area towards the passenger side is all the climate adjustments, your heated and ventilated seats, where you'd like the air to go. But these are all for your passenger, drivers up top, and then you have climates right in the middle. So once you get used to it, of course, it will be easy to use. We have 2 cup holders in the middle, more beautiful alcantara. The center armrest opens up towards the passenger. You have some auxiliaries, wireless charging just behind that with the 70th edition badge. And on that window in the back, from the outside, you can read that 1953 to 2023. And then more alcantara for the entire headliner. There are call buttons up top with the hazards, along with this sensor control. And that's pretty much it. Not a whole lot of space on the inside, a little bit behind the seats, but the dual trunks basically makes up for that. And then you do have the glove box too, with a good bit of space. But let's go ahead and get this 70th edition out on the road. As we set off now behind the wheel for the C8 convertible, this is actually my first time actually checking out the convertible. I've been in the coupe numerous times. If you guys are familiar with our channel, I actually had an order in for a C8. We had a C8 for a week, we took it to the mountains. So be sure to check out some of those videos if you really want to see a ripping on this car through the mountains. This is such a phenomenal vehicle for the money. And this one starts right around $85,000 for the convertible. It is significantly more expensive than the coupe, but it is still just as quick and sounds really good for that NA engine. It is very impressive to see what Chevrolet was able to do with the power numbers for this, because the specs that I told you are actually not what they actually produce. If you dyno them, they produce a lot more than what Chevy states. And now that they have the Z06 model, we have one of the most powerful naturally aspirated V8 engines. So it is very cool to see the performance that you can get. And I love the fact too that you can lower that window and keep the top up. It's not crazy loud, but I had a friend who straight piped one and it sounds so good. Honestly, I think I would go for the convertible, even though you get a little bit less space in the back. It's so much easier to do than the target top in the coupe, but it just depends on your preference and what you're looking to get. So it's a very cool car. I've had so much seat time behind the wheel and a lot of performance driving too. So we're not doing that today, but going around this roundabout at least. And the shifts are incredibly quick for that ZF 8-speed. One thing that I do wish Chevrolet did was a manual transmission for this. Having a mid-engine manual convertible or target top at under $100,000 would have been a very cool option. Corvettes have had manuals since the beginning, and I do wish that was something that was available. That's one thing that kind of deterred me from it. Not to say the ZF, it's amazing transmission, but that manual, I feel like they could have done it. Maybe we'll see that at some point, because I think that would give it just that much cooler of a factor. However, this is quicker, 0 to 60 under 3 seconds. It's gonna be hard to do in the manual unless you shift perfectly. But aside from all of that, driving this, it is a comfortable vehicle. This is something that a lot of people will daily drive. This is something to go on a long road trip. You have plenty of storage. It is an everyday type of supercar because of the storage. A lot of supercars, including my R8, don't have as much space. I only have the space up front, a little bit of space behind the seats, but especially in the coupe with the trunk space behind the engine, it is that much more practical to make it your only car. If you want a supercar, but you're, you know, not happy with some of the spacing in some or storage, this is the perfect one to go with because you can absolutely daily drive this car. It's so comfortable with all the creature comforts, and it's also pretty quiet. Even though you can hear a little bit of that exhaust note, I do have it in track mode at the moment. Not the loudest from the factory, but either way, it's a comfortable vehicle to drive, and you have so many different options that you can go with. From the 1LT, 2LT, 3LT, Coupe or Convertible, there's just an array depending on your budget and what you're looking for. You have so many options for this car. And from second gear, here we go. Now, I'm not doing anything crazy today. Again, if you want to see us really ripping on this, we have some mountain videos that you can check out where we got to open this up. Not this particular model, but we had a lot of fun driving this through the mountains. It's such a good handling mid-engine car that offers so much performance and so much daily driving characteristics. Now we have that back window that we can put down, but then we can also start on the top operation. Looks like it works under 30 miles an hour, which is nice. So that way you don't have to stop in order to do this. And with it secured, we will put the windows up just for audio purposes, but it is set up and ready to go. So you can hear a little bit of that exhaust. When you do an aftermarket exhaust, it really opens this up. But with that top-down experience, this is what you would expect. It's very composed feeling, at least at the speeds that I'm doing right now. Highway, depending on the weather, you know, is going to vary. But this is a super comfortable car to drive. I love the seating position. I love all of this right here. Even though it's angled towards the driver, it would be nice for your passenger to be able to utilize it. So I think that is a little bit of a downside, but it's still a large screen and easy to use. All right, we got the tunnel. Got the pops there. Definitely sounds good. But I think that is going to wrap it up for this walk around review and test drive behind the wheel of the 2023 Chevrolet Corvette C8 Convertible 3LT with the 70th edition package. Once again, a huge shout out to 704 Exotics for providing this for me today. Definitely take a look at their website. Give this video a huge thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and consider smashing that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on our daily uploads. And I will see you all in the next video.